This is Sandia Peak. We are 10,000 feet above New Mexico. This is looking north, south is that way. I just thought I'd show you the view north while I recover from the abject terror of seeing the view set, because the way you get up here is novel.
I've never given any consideration my whole life to the quality of Swiss engineering. I've always assumed the Swiss were good engineers. I've never had a reason to consider it until I was on this tramway. This is the tramway that runs from ground level, is a bit of a rough term because obviously the elevation is higher than that, but it runs from ground level to 10,000 feet, and it's privately owned, I think still family owned, created by a guy called Ben Abruzzo, who was a balloonist, and Robert Nordhaus. And they created this tramway, as they call it, having been on a ski trip to Switzerland, where they saw these kind of cable cars in operation. Now, to build this, it took 5,000 helicopter trips to build. There's two main platforms. That's one there in the distance, and there's another one like that. So 5,000 helicopter trips in total. It has carried about 12 million people. By the way, see that green line through the bottom of the valley? That's the only river that remains wet through the entire year. So that's why you've got the green in the valley. You rise up to 10,000 feet. Your maximum elevation above the ground, I can't remember exactly, but I think it's in the range of 2,000 feet. I do remember the guy who was running the tram explaining that if you fell, it would take 8 seconds to hit the bottom, which didn't help much with the abject terror that I was feeling. There's the second, what do we call it, tower. That tower, that took 2,000 helicopter trips itself just to build. This is the point of your maximum elevation. There's two cars, there's one going in the other direction. One obviously acts as kind of ballast to the other, connected together, so that they outweigh each other effectively. As you get up high enough to this kind of point, by the way, at this stage, he said, we're just going to stop here for a second. And you swing back and forth several thousand feet above the granite of the Sandia Peak Mountains. It's known apparently as a double reversible jig-back aerial tramway. That's the technical term for it. And you can put 50 people in each one of the cabs. And one of the things that happens is, I don't know if you noticed him, but there was a worker on one of the towers as we came up. They will actually sit on top of these carriages. So when they do work on, see those that just went past, like those idlers, they will climb up on top of the carriages and do work on them. It's an interesting gig. So when you pause here, you swing back and forth, and you're now at about 9,500 feet. You're 2,000 feet vertically down. If you can get over the terror, by the way, that expression that I'm making is pure terror. If you can get over the terror, the view is unparalleled. And the fact that it happens so fast, you don't have to hike up here, you don't have to drive up here. It's 15 minutes bottom to top. At the top of this, there is a hotel, no, not a hotel, a restaurant. I think they call it 1030 because the total altitude is 10,030 feet, something along those lines, or 10.3, maybe it's 10,300 feet. You can come up here and have dinner. Apparently they do fine dining, and then head back down by tramway. They also tell you that one of the, I guess, attractions, one of the things, is a TWA flight that crashed in 1950, and you can see it in some of these shots. You'd have to look, but if you work hard enough, when it looks down, you can still see some of the fuselage, the aircraft that crashed. Now, to be honest with you, when you're already terrified by virtue of the fact that you're hanging from 3 cables built by undoubtedly excellent Swiss engineers, but Swiss engineers you've never met, and then they start talking to you about the plane crashes that happened in the area. Anyway, you put that to one side, because the other things that are here are the stunning scenery. There's deer. See this way? See this way? There's deer. I think there may be bear. There's bobcats. And at this point, you're at 10,000 feet. This is when aircraft have decompression problems. This is the altitude they fly down to so that you can breathe. And you notice it when you get off the tramway up at the top. You struggle for breath. There's a couple of steps up and down that you have to traverse. And I ended up running back up to try to get a picture. And by the time you get to the top, you realize, you're struggling. There's also some very interesting, like way over here on the right, you can just about see it. You probably can't make it out, but there's a little sort of hiking lodge that still remains that people can use for shelter in the worst of it, because obviously all this snow's over, because the other side of the mountain is ski territory. So in winter, this is all covered in snow. In summer, it's all of this beautiful greenery. There's the restaurant on the left with the glass windows. And looking down there, that's Albuquerque in the distance. What an experience. What an absolutely terrifying experience, but nonetheless, what an experience. If you are ever in the New Mexico area, I highly recommend it. I do have to say though, at this point when I got to the top, I was thinking, I wonder should I just walk back down? But anyway, I girded my loins and got back on the bike. When I got back on the bike, we found a corner. I was filming this train, which is one of those 2, 3, 4 kilometer long trains that are everywhere and they just take for granted in transcontinental shipping in America, but they are amazing. And then we got this corner, and here come Philip and Fiona. I think this is the first corner I've actually seen Philip go round. Philip likes corners. And then the rest of the group came, so we have, you know him by now. So there goes Hugh, and Michal, and Lou, and Niall, and Nicole. And this gave me an opportunity, because now that they're ahead of me, I kind of had to stretch the legs of the BMW and see could I catch them. This gave me the opportunity to see what the KC Sonoma can do. Let's just put it this way, it's quick. You don't need the absolute details of how quick it is, but it's definitely quick. So, this is New Mexico. We're now underway, and we're heading in the direction of Arizona, and we're heading in the direction of some of the most beautiful scenery I have ever seen in my life.